If you don't know the direction ahead in life, you don't know the path, just start walking and the path will appear. We did a lot of work. The dev team gets major kudos for this. They did a lot of work on the UI with dashboards, dashlets. These guys right now, they're remote control. They do have some autonomous functionality.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to the 2013 Nagios World Conference.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. We're really happy to have all of you here.
If we can bank it, we can do it.
Do not miss the Nagios World Conference.
Welcome to the Nagios headquarters for the 2025 World Conference here in St. Paul, Minnesota. My name is Paul Singh and we're very excited. We have a lot of great speakers and fun activities planned for you guys. This is a place where you can learn, ask questions, and have a great time. Let's do it!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the founder and president of Nagios, Ethan Galstad.
That was a really smooth voice. I don't know if we got to do the voice acting. That was a smooth intro. Welcome everybody, all of you who are in attendance here in person. Those of you who are watching the live stream right now, we've got 50 people or so that are watching it right now. And to anybody who watches the video after the fact, welcome. Sorry you couldn't be here. You're gonna miss out on a lot of fun if you weren't here. But for those of you that are here, thank you for being here. It's a real pleasure to have you here. Many of you have traveled a very long distance to be here. We really appreciate that. And it's been a long time since we had a conference, last 10 years to be exact. And initially when the conference committee came to me and said we should do a conference, I was like, hell no, because I still had PTSD from all the work that was required from previous years. But I'm glad they convinced me otherwise. It's good to have you guys here. We see a lot of value in bringing people together. Like a lot of the work we do, it's very abstract. Like we'll see an email, maybe get a phone call every once in a while, or see a forum post from a random email address or username, and it's not necessarily nearly as personal as interacting with all you in person. It's really nice to get to know you face to face. It's much more personal, and we've always derived an incredible amount of value from these face to face events because we find it inspirational to learn about how you're using our products, the problems that you are encountering in your environment, and it helps to inspire us to build a better product and to deliver better services to you. So thank you for being here. So I look forward to catching up with those of you who are returning guests who have been here in the past, and those of you who are new, I look forward to meeting you. The whole team does. We are missing a couple people who weren't able to come. I'm going to mention one. Hope she's probably watching the live stream. That is Janice Singh. She was here, I think, for most all the conferences that we had in the past. And just at the last minute, she was unable to come due to, I think, a pending government shutdown. I haven't been tracking it, but it held her back. So she's in our thoughts. Anyway, welcome again. I'm going to cover a couple things here. I got to get you guys out of here in time. So you got a little bit of time for some stuff out in the hallway I'm going to tell you about before we start the sessions. I'm going to first talk about the mechanics of the conference here. I'm going to talk about some of the things that we've done in the past year, some things that are new with our products. You're going to get more information about our product updates and all that stuff in other presentations. I'm not going to go into detail here, okay? But I'll give you an overview of that. I'm going to talk about some AI stuff that we are doing, talk about AI in general a little bit. Many of you know we're in the age of AI. It's going to do a lot of great things for us, and it's got some negatives too, I think, that most people are aware of. And then I'm going to take a little time and I'm going to tell you the story, the backstory of how Nagios came to be. And without this story, we wouldn't be here. Nagios probably would not exist. I told my team this story towards the beginning of this year. because we were approaching 100 people. I'm like, well, now is the time to spill the beans as to what really happened. And so I'll share some of that with you guys here. It's kind of a fun story. I always liked hearing about how other companies, how other founders got their start, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur for many years. And so I always find it inspirational to find out how did things get started. And you know, it's one of these things we all screw up in life. I've got a phrase framed at my place. It says, you know, bad decisions make good stories. We've all made bad decisions, right? Sometimes the worst decisions we make, they end up, they're great stories. They're part of our path. Also, I've got another phrase that's framed that says, die with memories, not dreams. And it's always a reminder to me to, you know, when I'm faced with the decision as to whether I should do something or not, take a calculated risk, I should do it. Because I'd rather not die with a regret. And I'd rather at least try and face failure in some kind, in some fashion or not. So I'll tell you that story. But first, the conference of the mechanics, or the mechanics of the conference. I'm still waking up here. So you are in track 1 right now. This is track 1. Track 2 is right down the hall. It's a great spot. We call it Zacher Conservatory. And track 3 is down the hall and just across the hall. So we've got 3 tracks that are in session. Now, you can obviously only be in one track at any given time. We are recording all of the tracks. Probably within about 2 weeks after the conference is over, our video team will be able to produce individual videos on the individual sessions, and we'll email you guys, make those available to us, or to you. Tracks 1 and 2 today are being live streamed. So the keynote right now is a public live stream. Anybody can watch this, anybody can join. After the keynote, the track 1 and track 2 are going to become unlisted or private live streams. You guys will get an email with those links, and you'll also get, I think, an SMS alert for those of you that signed up for those alerts. So you can watch those at your leisure, you know, now or later before we produce individual videos. You can watch that stuff. A lot of great presentations are planned for the conference, so we're looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are going to find a lot of value out of the stuff that people talk about here. This is a very unique experience to have a conference, an event like this inside a company's headquarters. You don't get something like this very often. It's very unique, kind of a very bespoke experience. We're super excited to have you guys here. If you are interested in getting a tour of our space, all you got to do is ask Mariah or whoever's across the hall at the registration desk. Tell them that you're interested, and we'll get somebody to take you through a tour. You can see our spaces that we utilize here. Also, so I have a tendency to buy things that we don't really need. Like video stuff, you've seen like a lot of video stuff that we produce. And one of the reasons for that is I like recording our history. Because it's so many times companies don't record their history, at least make it available, and then they eventually go bust, and there's like no real history of the company. And so that's one of the reasons that we utilize it here, in addition to like the technical content and stuff that we put out. But we've got, so you guys are technical, right? So this is an opportunity that's available to you. We have done in the past some really amazing videos highlighting IT professionals. So we've got a studio space. If you would like to sit down in front of a camera, our video team will make you look super awesome, super epic, and we can produce a video that covers your experience in IT, what it is that your company does, like if you're a partner, a reseller, or just like a Fortune 500 or a small nonprofit, whatever, we can do a video and put it together to look super awesome. And we won't release it until we get your okay with it. But it's an opportunity here since you're on site. I would take advantage of it if you're interested in that. Lunch is going to be on the 3rd floor. It's a new space that we just recently acquired. It's an awesome space. During lunch today, so one of the things we did for last year, and we've got it here, we set up some classic game servers. So today, tomorrow, and Thursday, we have Quake server contest. Today is Quake 1 CTF. We got 6 workstations set up. So if you guys want to frag it out, whoever wins according to the rules, you guys win some Amazon gift certificates. Tomorrow, during lunch, we've got Quake 3 Arena. So again, 6 workstations where you can frag it out. And on Thursday, Quake 2. So some classic stuff, kind of fun. Tomorrow at lunch, not today at lunch, but tomorrow at lunch, we will be having the MVP award ceremony upstairs. So definitely check that out. We've got a couple MVP awards that we want to hand out. That should be good. The buses brought you here today. They're going to take you back at the end of the conference. If for some reason you need to go back to the conference hotel, we do have a shuttle outside. It's running, I think, about every half hour. So you don't need to grab like an Uber or Lyft. unless you need to go right away for something, you can just hop on a shuttle. About every half an hour they'll leave. So they'll take you back and forth if you want. Again, that's through the duration of the conference. What else? I got some notes here because I'm getting old. I forget stuff, and it's like I got to do this. Okay, so there's what do I want to talk about? I think that's it for the conference mechanics. Tonight, actually, the evening event. So tonight we're back at the conference hotel. We've got food. We've got Aces High Casino, so it's like gambling stuff. It's a lot of fun. We've done this at previous company parties. Everybody loves it. Tomorrow night, we again have food and beverages, and we have brought in, I think we're bringing in like a retro arcade machine, so that should be a lot of fun too for you guys. All right, so that's enough about the conference stuff. If you have questions about anything with the conference, you can just ask whoever, any of our staff really, and anybody that's over at the registration desk. Last thing of note, some, not all of our developers are in blue, so if you want to ask a dev question, ask for a feature request. Find somebody in a blue developer shirt. Our support techs, some of them at least, are in red shirts. So if you got a support question, just approach somebody with the red shirt. And we did that to make them easy targets, so you don't bug the salespeople or somebody else who's not super technical. So that's good. All right, so let me just jump into some of the things that. Before I get into this, so we've got demo stations of our software. We've got some new software I'm going to talk about here too. Demo stations just outside and at either end of the hallway where you can sit and actually try out software, maybe if you haven't used it before. So it's kind of cool. And let me talk about some of the things that we've done in the past year. So we passed, last year was concluded the 25th anniversary of Nagios. That's a long time for a brand to survive in IT. So one of the things I started doing last year in earnest is I started to become a vintage collector of software that I've used in IT, going back to like the 80s, like boxed versions of MS-DOS and early Windows, all the way to stuff probably mid-2000s. And it's cool to do that. It's also very depressing to see the number of well-known brands that have disappeared over the years. Think companies that probably many of you work with their software, the hardware, that have just vaporized. Companies like Sun Microsystems, that probably anybody that used their hardware, we never would have expected at the time during their heyday that they would disappear off the map. Or companies like Novell, which had a pretty good market share on LAN networking before Microsoft came on top of them. But it's interesting to learn from history, like where things have been, because like 25 years is a long time. I'm thankful that we made it. I'm hoping that someday we see a 50-year anniversary of Nagios. Not sure I'll be around. Hopefully I will. But a lot of things face the IT industry, and one of those is AI. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so it's very cool to do this. So one of the things that we did for the 25th anniversary, we done a lot of work on our website. So one of the things that we did is we revamped our library website. This is where we have documentation. We centralized all of our documentation, updated our documentation, moved our support knowledge base essentially to the library. It's got a great look, easy to use, easy to search to find the stuff that people need. We also just recently, it took us longer than what we were expecting, we just relaunched our Exchange website. If you're not familiar with our Exchange website, it's a place where you can find thousands of add-ons for Nagios that have been built by the community over 2 decades plus. Most of the add-ons, plugins, stuff like that work with Core and XI. There's some other stuff there as well, but it's a great resource if you're looking to expand your monitoring capabilities. Monitoring is tough. IT it encompasses so many things, different hardware, operating systems, libraries change, just things change. It's difficult sometimes to monitor things effectively and completely, but Exchange is a great resource. And if you're writing your own plugins, own add-ons, something like that, and you want to contribute that back to the community, Exchange is a great place to list that, so it's in one central place. So I want to thank the team that was involved in that. That was a lot of work. We actually worked with an external group to get that launched, because we were running on a site that I had set up I think like 15, 16 years ago, and it hadn't been upgraded, running a super outdated CMS that was still trucking along and doing its job, barely, but it was time to upgrade it, so we got that done. We also, last year, So Nagios Core is what the Nagios brand has long been associated with. So there's a huge community of people who use the open source Nagios Core around the world that gets far more downloads than our commercial products do. One of the things I wanted to do for the community, because I'm like, well, you know, it's not like everybody's buying our commercial solutions. A lot of people want the free, low cost, open source stuff. It's like, could we deliver something to them that would make their lives easier? So we came out with the Nagios CSP package, which is Core Services Platform, where we basically, it's an image somebody can download, and you get Core, you get the plugins, you get NDO utils, Mod Gearman, which I'll talk about a little bit, and a bunch of other add-ons, along with a pre-packaged Nagios XI VM and a free limited non-commercial license. So kind of cool for the community. That's been a very popular download. A lot of stuff there. We sort of, like I already mentioned this, like game servers and stuff, so kind of fun stuff. But again, for the 25th anniversary, it's kind of a big deal. Okay, so let me get in and just talk about some of the products that we've got going on here, the stuff that's new. Again, you're gonna get more information about these in different talks here. So let me first talk about Nagios XI. So our 2026 edition, it's got some new things. We did a lot of work. The dev team gets major kudos for this. They did a lot of work on the UI with dashboards, dashlets. We've got new wizards. We have wizards actually now for Zabbix and Prometheus. Because, I was thinking about it. I'm like, a lot of environments, big corporate environments, they've got multiple solutions rolled out. Some teams might be using Zabbix. Some teams might be using Nagios. If you're a Nagios team member at a corporate environment, you can leverage pre-existing Zabbix agents or Prometheus agents. So we've got those, very cool stuff. We've also integrated, one of the big things that we did is we integrated Mod Gearman. So Mod Gearman, if you're not familiar with it, it's an add-on for Nagios Core. It also works with XI that allows you to scale monitoring to just like immense numbers, like far bigger instance than you otherwise would. Mod Gearman has been around for a long time for Nagios Core. The problem is it broke. Compatibility is broke with Nagios Core a couple years back. One of our support techs by the name of Tom Greep managed to get it working, compiled with one of the more recent versions of Core, so we released it. Essentially that fixed version to the community, and then also included it in XI 2026. So if you have a big environment, if you want to use Mod Gearman, definitely if you have a chance, if you find Tom, like I just called him up by name now, he probably hates that, but definitely shake his hand because he was the guy that managed to get things working on that end. So that was kind of a technical challenge, but he did it. So that's pretty cool. Let me talk about Log Server real quick. So Log Server is our log monitoring product. It's been around for a long time. In the past year or so, we've done a lot of work on it. It used to be based on the Elk Stack. The Elk Stack, a key component of that was Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch, they changed the terms of their license, and we couldn't upgrade to what they had because it would have been a conflict with their license terms. Amazon basically said, screw you, Elasticsearch. They forked Elasticsearch and came out with OpenSearch. So Log Server, as of a couple of months ago, we implemented OpenSearch as the back end, and the latest version of Log Server is running the latest version of OpenSearch. So that's very powerful. We've done work on the UI to improve it. We've also implemented what I refer to as the Hasbro interface. So like easy to use. If you got kids, you know what the Hasbro brand is, right? So Log Server is very powerful in that it allows you to build very complex queries, like Lucene queries, they're called. The problem with that is for a new user, it's a little complicated. Like you and I, and pretty much anybody on the planet, if we want to see images, blog articles, etc., about red apples, we go to Google, we just type in red apples, and Google does a really good job of returning what I would consider like a natural search result for the images, blogs, etc. that we're looking for. If in Log Server you were to type red apples, you would not by default not get an intuitive natural search result because it's going to say, oh, you're looking for red or apples by default. So we changed it. We didn't change the basic search functionality. We added a basic interface, a basic query interface, so you can type red apples and it's going to give you what feels like a natural search result. It's not as powerful as the advanced, but now we have both in Log Server, and we intend to do more with like a basic UI so that new people who start to use it have an easier time getting started with it. Okay, so that's Log Server. Let me talk about Network Analyzer. A lot of people aren't familiar with Network Analyzer. This product has been around for a while, and it was previously limited to monitoring essentially NetFlow data, get SFlow, JFlow, and IPFix, I think, as well. The problem with this is there's a limited set of hardware this works with. Like even internally in our infrastructure here, we do not have equipment that supports this type of flow data. So we've had to basically fake it. And you know, at the end of last year, I was sitting around, I was thinking, I'm like, what do we do with this product? Do we just sunset it, kill it off? Or do we potentially just reimagine it? And that's what we did. So right now, our dev team has been working hard, fast and furiously up until the conference here to, we have basically a bleeding edge beta version of Network Analyzer reimagined. So Network Analyzer is now in the security environment because we've integrated support for Nmap, Wireshark, and Suricata. And we've combined those things and made those things easy to use. And to do some cross investigative, I guess, work with those things. So those tools by themselves, we can't distribute natively just due to the licensing terms, but we just made an easy install script. So we said, once you've installed those tools, we've got it. We've got the dashboards, the reports, everything works. It's really cool. This is I think this is a huge upgrade for Network Analyzer. It, again, is, I think, going to be useful to a lot of people. Brand new bleeding edge product. So here's what I like. Here's what I would love you guys to try this out and give us your honest feedback as to what you think about this. So everybody here, you guys, we're going to give you a free perpetual license to Network Analyzer for life. It's yours for life. And you get a free year's worth of commercial support with that absolutely free because we want your feedback. And not just like, hey, we like this thing. What I like is brutally honest feedback, like this sucks, this thing is broken, we miss features over here, you guys should be doing X, Y, Z. That input, especially from early adopters in a product, is very instrumental in driving product development down the line. So we love your feedback. We've got demos of this. You can see this in the demo stations. We have presentations about Network Analyzer. So you guys will all get a licensed copy. There is a QR code you can scan out there at the registration desk. It takes you to a registration form. Fill out your information, and somebody from our team will generate you a license key, again, for free perpetual license, and we'll set you up with support benefits. So it's kind of cool. With that, okay, so burning through stuff, I think that was it. So I want to talk about a little bit about AI. Actually, I'll do the t-shirt next. I'm going to talk about AI a little bit. We do have a presentation where we're talking about some of the stuff that we started to do with AI in Nagios. So one of the things that we're trying to tackle right away, anybody that's used Nagios Core, especially for a long time, you know, and then you've used XI, you know what different technology advancements can do for you. So if you're using Core, you have to do the most amount of work managing things with config files. That's the most difficult. And then if you use like a configuration front end, like we have in XI with the CCM, it gets a little bit easier. And then with the wizards that we have in XI, it gets even easier. But even easier than that is simply having a text prompt inside of XI where you can just say, start monitoring google.com. And AI says, okay, I know what that thing is, and it just automatically adds all the things that should be monitored for that site and configures notifications and stuff like that. So AI can save time. And that's one example of the first thing that we try to do. We've got other plans too with AI. One thing, so Ayub Luragli is gonna give a talk on some of the AI stuff we're doing. Also, as part of AI, we're going to talk about, we got two guys, Matt and Nick, and we're going to talk about AI work that they've been doing in relation to a side project that was started in 2018. We call this the CODA project. CODA stands for Code of the Ancients. Back in 2018, I was like, why don't we use technology to try to decode ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics? Totally side project, right? But I was like, okay, we could do this. It was kind of pissing me off that Egyptologists weren't really sharing their information, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, well, why don't we just take a stab at it? So I hired a couple of interns and we did some initial work on this. And initially, after I hired them, I was like, oh shit. I found there was another small company that was involved that had started a similar project. Their company name was Google. And I was like, okay, well, they have like more people, more resources, more money, we're screwed. But for whatever reason, they seem to have abandoned the project. I think I know probably why. It's the challenge that we're running into. But Matt and Nick are going to talk about the stuff that they've been doing. So essentially, with this project, how AI is being used right now is we did this in a couple stages. One, we got an old Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionary that was out of copyright, where we put that into a database. Then we digitized, create digital versions of all the hieroglyphs that we could find that we knew about. And then we found as many photographs that were taken of hieroglyphs as we could, because we needed those photos to basically train the AI model, start to recognize these glyphs. So Matt and Nick have developed an app. It can recognize some glyphs. Now our biggest challenge is getting photographs to actually get enough samples. I think that was probably the problem that Google ran into, because Google can do pretty much anything. They've got the resources, right? But I think that's a limiting factor, or at least it was. So you can see what they've been doing. I think it's pretty cool. It's related to AI. So if you want to talk shop with them and see what they've been doing, it's a cool project. That's kind of cool. AI in general, you guys have been following this, like incredible advancements, like especially like in the past 3 years with the video content that AI is able to create is crazy. Way better now than it was 3 years ago. Like you probably all seen like the videos of like Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's sort of like the AI video quality test. Really good stuff right now. It's producing really good music, art, code. Jesus, I mean, like I was talking to the team about this earlier this year, and right now there's a problem, at least in the local area, with junior devs, people coming straight out of college, trying to get a job, not being able to find one, right, very easily. And I think one of the reasons for that is that AI is coding at the level or even better than a junior dev. It does it way faster with comments. Yeah, it's not perfect. Anybody that's used like ChatGPT or any other tool knows that the code that it produces isn't always great, but it's still the same. You can say the same thing about a junior dev, right? So where things are going to go, I don't know. I mean, we're on an exponential path. I would say probably in 3 years, AI is probably going to be competing with senior devs. And so the mantra that we've been telling people, like young people, like learn to code, it's like, sorry, I know we told you that. I know we sent you through school and that's what you want to pursue, but by the time they get there, it might not be available to them. AI has the ability to do a lot of good things for society, but there are some downsides too. I told my company earlier this year, I'm like, I don't know if we'll be around doing monitoring stuff in 10 years. It might take a little bit longer, but we are at risk from AI, because the way I see it, 10 years from now, might take a little bit longer, might happen sooner though, I don't know. I would envision that most IT equipment, like servers, switches, most operating systems and applications are going to have fully advanced AI agents that do all the monitoring, the management, that have self-healing capabilities, and people won't need solutions from Nagios or related companies or solutions. So I don't know, to use an old agronomy term, make hay while the sun shines, because IT is going to benefit from AI, but AI is also right in the crosshairs of AI. A lot of it will come for IT, just like for a lot of people. But it's interesting. Okay, so enough on AI. We're going to show you a fun, before this ends, we're going to show you kind of a funny AI video we made on this. I want to talk next. I'm going to give you another free, something else for you. We'll give you a free network analyzer license. So you're going to get a free t-shirt. This is one of the first t-shirts that I designed over 20 years ago. So this is a favorite of the Nagios community. I just wanted to say a little bit about this. This came out because the NSA, and if you're not from the US, NSA is the National Security Agency. They're one of the 3-letter spook agencies. They were catching a lot of heat for monitoring Americans' telephone calls and all internet traffic. And monitoring is good in many cases, but when you have a central government authority that's monitoring everything, people start to get a little concerned about how that data could be misused in the future. So this is like one of my ways of protesting is come out with this. A great story that I'll always remember. I sold some of these from the Nagios website back in the day. One of the guys who bought the shirts worked for AT&T. I think one of the big data centers like out in Colorado. He emailed me and he said, I wore my NSA t-shirt into the data center. He said, you would not believe the number of dirty looks I got. Because it's like they all knew they were under a lot of pressure, scrutiny. Nobody even thinks about them anymore. But I imagine AI is very powerful inside of the government. I know even like one of our young developers, this is like 10 years ago, he left here to go work for, I don't think he directly worked for a spook agency. I think he was getting a job for a company that supplied spook agencies like the NSA with stuff. And he came to me after his interview, and they had shown him a UI, an interface for essentially like pulling out key data from like a network stream. Like if you're AT&T and you've got to tap into everything. And what he was explaining to me that they showed him as an interviewee that didn't have security clearance was something straight out of a movie. So, you know, if they're showing that to, this is 10 years ago, right, to interviewees without security clearance, you know that they probably had massive systems. Because back in the day, when the NSA started, there's no way, I don't think, with traditional systems they could have processed the massive amount of data without having some kind of AI that was helping. So anyway, who knows what's going to happen? You know, we've all seen the movies. We could have Terminator-style ending. Hopefully not. But so anyway, if you want an NSA T-shirt, you can get one. They're across the hall. We got a short sleeve and long sleeve. Talking about AI, do we have? I don't know if we got some friends here. So I have a tendency to buy stuff that we don't really need. In this company, like video equipment and stuff like this, I don't know if you can all see these guys, but we got 2 robots from a company out of China called Unitree. And these are kind of cool. As early as like 10, 12 years ago, I was showing the team advancements in robotics from companies like, well, I mean, you've probably seen some of these, like at Boston Dynamics. Like they've got, if you've seen their like Atlas robots, they look a little freaky. You do not want those things chasing you in the woods. These guys right now are under remote control. They do have some autonomous functionality, but we're not gonna let them loose here. So thank you. You can maybe take them out, and we're gonna leave these guys in the robot. We'll have these guys out in the hallway if you wanna get a photo op with them before the next session. Battery life, we probably have about 60 minutes left on the big guy here. So after he shuts down, we got to charge his battery. You won't see him again until tomorrow, probably around lunch. But if you want a photo with them before battery dies, that'll work. All right, get out of here. They're going to take over someday. I swear to God they will. But they're friendly for right now, wrapped in company colors. All right, last thing I want to talk about is, before we break here, is I want to talk about the history of Nagios. I shared the inside scoop with my team earlier this year. I'm going to give you an abbreviated version of it. This is like sometimes when you want something in life, whatever it might be, you don't actually know how you're going to get there. And like there's a saying, like if you don't know the direction ahead in life, you don't know the path, just start walking and the path will appear eventually, or you'll make the path. This is one of these stories, and so this is like the backside story. So I got interested. I got my first computer probably when I was like 16. Taught myself programming in BASIC and then C. Wrote my first application, filed it with the U.S. Copyright Office, and I was like, at the age of 17, I was like, I want to own a software company someday. I didn't know what. I think I had this mind of, or a name of like Datascape Technologies would be a cool company name when I was 17, and I didn't know how I'd get there. I almost got kicked out of high school right before graduation because I wrote an application that, let's just say, caused chaos in the computer lab at school. So I almost got kicked out of high school. I almost got kicked out of college for writing an application that, let's just say, it tested the security of the Unix systems that I had been given access to. In college, so I was influenced by like books and magazines about tech. And one movie in particular called Sneakers, featuring Robert Redford was in there. I think that came out in like 92. So I had this mindset in college of like, I'm gonna be anti-system, anti-corporate, anti-big brother, and I'm gonna fight the system, right? And then the movie Hackers came out, I think in 95, it just kind of gave the same vibe. So when I was 20, I started my first company out of my dorm room. I made $1 an hour. I calculated it afterwards. That's what I made, $1 an hour, but it taught me lessons. First company name was Big Brother's Nemesis, okay? It's an anti-system. So what did I do? I sold on floppy disk through the mail for cash only. I sold viruses, I sold Trojans, I sold information on how to hack into your school's computer system, change your grades, lockpicking, stuff like that. I wrote a couple applications to crack passwords for iOmega zip drives, Trumpet WinSock, and an email application called Minuet that was used by the University of Minnesota where I was a student. I was an early spammer. I didn't have access to email lists, but I had news groups. So at the time, I spammed news groups with like, hey, this is stuff I've got, here's where you can get it. One of the places that learned about this was the U of M security team. So, where I was a student. So once a month, security or sysadmins from the U of M, they get together, they talk about security stuff. At one of the meetings there, they're like, we have a problem. We've got a student here named Ethan Galstad who wrote an application that breaks our password security. This is a problem. And as it happens, One of the guys there was the guy that was responsible for reviewing applications for the first sysadmin job that I was applying for, that I wasn't really qualified for. He told me, he said, as soon as I saw your name come across the desk, I recognized it, and he was like, that kid is hired. That stuff that I was doing that would probably land me in a boatload of trouble now, but the laws didn't exist at the time, is what allowed me to get my first sysadmin job. And it was there at the Minnesota Daily, which is a student newspaper for the U of M, that I got my first taste of the value of monitoring and kind of how to do it. So the Minnesota Daily, it was all just college students. There were like 2 adults that were also present, but it was mostly college students. So our IT team, which is probably like 8 people or so, we used to have our like monthly IT meetings off-site at a local bar. So we'd drink beer, we'd eat nachos, and talk tech, which we thought was really cool. The problem with that is one of those days, the servers crashed and nobody knew where we were, how to get in touch with us. This is, pre-cell phone. The top tier tech available to us, which we hadn't been issued, was pagers, right? But we didn't have them. So nobody knew how to get in touch with us. When we got back, we caught hell, got in trouble. We were told that we couldn't have any more offsite IT meetings at the bar anymore. And I thought to myself, I'm like, how do I use technology to solve this problem? I had 2 problems to solve. One is, how do I let myself and my team know that there's a problem with the server, right? And the other was, once I do that, how do I solve the problem of getting these offsite bar meetings reinstated, approved by management? So I went home and I wrote a simple MS-DOS application that monitored our Novell servers just by pinging them and then like mounting a file share to one of the Novell or NetWare volumes. And it worked. And we were issued alphanumeric pagers, so we had to encode everything, right? So if we got a page of like, if it showed up with digits of like 311, it meant that server A crashed. If we got a code of 312, it's like server A recovered. And so we had to have these codes, but it worked well. I was never able to get the offsite meetings, restored, but at least that provided me with the intro to monitoring. A couple years later, I was kind of bored. Like I was doing different IT jobs, and I'm like, I'm not really utilizing my CISO degree. I know something about monitoring. It'd be cool to write an application for that and release it to the open source community. So I released Nagios under the original name of NetSaint in '99. I think I released it, looking back, on Pi Day, March 14th, from what I can tell. And I have to believe that was intentional, because it just seems too weird for it not to be. But at the time, I didn't really think that many people would be interested in it, like maybe like a dozen people max. And so what happened with Nagios over the years, it really astounded me. And for a long time, I still had in my mind that I wanted a software company, but I was in a very limited mindset. And so this is like, I was of the belief, right, that I couldn't do it myself. I couldn't start a company around Nagios myself for a number of reasons. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing starting a company. I couldn't manage a company. I don't have money to hire developers or any staff. I didn't think I had like necessarily the skills I needed myself to actually build the first commercial version. So that kept me back for a while. That's like a lot of us during different periods of our life, we have that limited mindset, right? So what happens sometimes with us is eventually the universe has to kick your ass into gear. And that's what it did for me. So I encountered this period of time, like towards the end of 2009, where I was like, I had 3 months worth of living expenses left. And I was like, once this money runs out, I need to get either a real job or I need to take a shot and see if I can do this. And so I took the shot, and here we are today. I still don't believe this is real, honestly, that we're here, that there's a company, that we have an amazing team, community, customers, partners. It's crazy to me. This is like, I always wanted this, but still, I'm like, this is real. It's weird. We have a great team of people here. The people that, we're really lucky. I'll just put it this way. They're like, when people come here and they get to know our team, they're like, this is a really cool culture. And I think the key for that there are people here with a really high vibe, right? I'll just say that. So we've got some really good people that have created the magic and maintained the magic. And that's really been key for us. We bring in really good people. We're very lucky. I've had people tell me, there's no place like Nagios. People that have worked here, there's no place like Nagios. And I would agree, based on the places I've worked. I remember I brought in some business analysts a couple years ago, and they met with some members of the team, and they're like, they had worked at Gateway Computers back in the day when Gateway was taken off. This is like probably pre-2000. And they said, the energy here, the people here, it feels kind of like that. Like, back in the early days of Gateway, we've had like electrical contractors come in and say, your team is really different than anybody else. Like, people are smiling, they're happy, because they're like, we go to a lot of places and it is not like this. So we're very fortunate to have a team of people in the company and a great partner in our customers, community members all around the world. It's really, really very cool. So anyway, I just want to say that now kind of some of the inside story. For anybody that's listening to this, do not follow the path that I did it's just a bad path. Like I said, sometimes like the bad choices, like I almost got arrested. Like somebody wanted to have the police arrest me. I had to meet with like a police chief. He's like, they want to have you arrested, but he's like, I checked the laws and what you're doing is not illegal. It wasn't at the time. It probably is now. So I wouldn't try that stuff. It's sometimes, if you're like an early adopter of things, like you can get away with things. But it just like a message of whatever you might do, you guys here in the room or anybody that watches this video after the point, it's like you never know where life is going to take you. And life is not usually a straight path to where you want to go. But if you keep on trucking through all the shit that you go through in life, eventually I think you make it there. All right, so that's what I want to leave you guys with. I'm gonna Paul Singh, our Chief Culture Officer, has a few things to say. But before we do that, I'm gonna get a selfie with all of you. So if you could kill the stage lights so it doesn't. So we're gonna do this. So you can just be as you are. You can smile, you can make a crazy face. I don't care we're posting this shit to social. So whatever you want to do, it's good. So I just need to line myself up so I'm not blocking you guys. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you for that. Bring the lights back up. Thank you again for coming. We really appreciate that. Hope you guys have a great conference. Again, everything's recorded, and we got 3 tracks. Have a ton of fun. Biggest thing to get out of this, in my opinion, is in addition to like just getting educated by some of the track information, is to network with people. That's it. You make connections with people that can last many years. So take the time to get to know people and meet them. We love, like I said, I'm just gonna say this at the end here, we love interacting with you guys. I really wanna hear from you, so does the whole team, like what you think about our products in terms of like what we should do to improve them. And give us brutal, honest feedback. Because you guys drive innovation. So anyway, thank you guys for coming. I hope you guys enjoy the conference. Paul's got some words for you, but I'll see you guys at the rest of the conference. Thank you.
A couple months back, I had posted a job for a junior development position, and I thought maybe we'll hire one person. As I came back to it about a month later, we had over 400 applications on just one job site. And I was like, wow, this is unusual. So I brought a bunch of people in, and a lot of them told me it's pretty much impossible to get a job as a junior dev these days because big companies, they're using AI to filter out resumes. They want a lot more experience. We're gonna be faced with this issue where most operating systems, most servers, most hardware is going to be probably fully managed by AI. AI will self-manage, self-monitor. There'll be self-healing networks in there, self-healing systems, and you won't need solutions like ours. After seeing all these people, I'm like, well, let's give this a shot, because somebody gave me a shot back in the day and I want to give people a shot. So now we've got this swarm of junior devs in the company. But at the end of the day, we're super excited to give a bunch of new developers a chance at making the universe a better place, one dent at a time.
Before Nagios, I graduated.
I said